Okay, welcome to the Grace Podcast. My name is Erin.
My name is Peter.
And this is kind of our first official podcast. We kind of had a teaser at first.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm not very good at talking, as you'll come to find out very quickly, and Erin is very good at talking.
Well, he's actually pretty good at talking, but he thinks he's not good at talking. So,
well, we all have our gifts. And that's not mine, so, but I'll try my best, so.
Yeah, he does a good job. So we want to start, actually, why don't you start with the verse, the kind of theme of this podcast?
So we're going to try and share a scripture with every podcast. For this particular one, we're going to be sharing just a small portion of our testimony. I know a lot of you have heard it, but we're also going to continue on from that point of how we've started to walk with the Lord and where we're at right now.
Mm-hmm. Lots of things have changed.
Our entire lives have been flipped upside down, basically.
Yeah, 180.
180,
yep.
So this verse is from Proverbs 9:10, and we're going to be reading mostly from the New American Standard Bible or the New King James.
What?
So
it's not King James only?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I'm really disappointed in you.
Well, and also a thing to share is that we're not theologians, we're not scholars, we're just normal, everyday people that
have been changed by Jesus.
Have been changed by Jesus, yes. So Proverbs 9:10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is understanding.
Yes, and this definitely applies to your part of the story. So I'm going to start, we are going to do a very, very shortened overview of our testimony. If you want to see the full 20-minute testimony, including video of our baptism and everything, we're going to have a link to the YouTube channel in the description, One Flesh for Jesus, and we have that testimony and a tons of other ones. But to start with me, I was raised in a born-again Christian home, but the church that we went to was very, very legalistic. And like, if you didn't dress a certain way, if you didn't homeschool, just a lot of performance-based religion, really. And my parents kind of realized, they were young Christians, they realized soon after we were at that church that it wasn't biblical and there wasn't a focus on being saved by grace. So we left that church, and it was a really, really hard thing for my parents and the family. So what happened was the family kind of left the faith and floundered, and so did I. And then in 2004, when we moved down to Florida, I started searching out other avenues of spirituality, because if you aren't a Christian, like, you still are searching and seeking. And I've stumbled across yoga, which is from Hinduism, and I took a 9-month yoga teacher training, 200 hours, and the whole 9 months was really focusing on spirituality. So we got into the New Age, which the New Age is a mixture of Eastern religion, Hinduism, Buddhism, psychic, shamanism. It's like a whole mix of a bunch of different spiritual things and occultic things. And just for anybody that has taken yoga or is in yoga, most yoga teacher trainings, if they've been certified, a lot of the training is on the spiritual aspects. So I renounced Christ altogether, even kind of played with some atheism, until about 2016, God was definitely calling me back to the faith. And I started realizing the chaos of the world. I was pro-life, we were all pro-choice, I was all about pride parades, we were all into that whole world. And God started calling me back. I stopped calling him universe and source and started referring to him as God. And I had a conversation with my dad, because my parents came back to their faith big time, and I saw a really big change in him. And I asked him a question one day, and I just said, listen, our statement basically, I just said, I understand that God is real, but Jesus Christ is the only way, and the truth seems ridiculous to me. And his simple response was, well, why don't you just ask him? So I went home that night, I said a prayer, and the prayer was definitely from my heart, and I really wanted to find out. And I asked God, if you're real and if Jesus Christ is the truth, prove it. If you're a believer, you will know that that's a super bold prayer. I didn't realize how bold it was. And he answered it in a whole different avenue of ways. I can't even go into all of them, but if you see our testimony, you can see that. But he answered it, and the blinders on my eyes came up, and I knew that Christ was real. And so that kind of moves into your portion of the story.
So I was raised, and I'm going to try and shorten this as much as I can, raised Roman Catholic. My mom used to do tarot cards at home, but she always said that it was just for fun. I don't think she really took it seriously, but I think deep in her heart she did. And we would used to call psychics all the time. So it's like I had religion mixed in with all different kinds of weird mystical stuff in the home and different beliefs. So I never really had a relationship with God, and I didn't know I never heard that term, I guess. And going to Erin's portion, when she prayed to ask if God was real, to prove it. And I remember at that time that there was, she started to change things in the house. We used to have a palm reading hand on her dresser drawer, and that was one of the first things that she pointed out, that it bothered her. And I said, well, if it bothers you that much, I'll get rid of it. I wasn't like super attached to it or anything. The next thing she did is she removed the Buddha statue from our dashboard of our car, and then she hung a cross. And I thought that was a little strange, but we were into Jesus too. We were like the coexist people.
Mm-hmm. We had all kinds of
beliefs.
All idols and things in our house.
Yep. And so I just thought that was a little strange. The next thing she does is there was a Hindu, I believe the goddess of destruction, mm-hmm. Shiva, next to our TV stand. And we were watching TV one night, and I know she was scared to say anything to me because I was a collector of all kinds of statues of different gods, tiki statues, everything you could think of, we had. I even had a hand-carved Mayan door that I found at a flea market that I hung of a Mayan priest giving a sacrifice to a sun god. So imagine the stuff that we had in our home.
Pretty creepy stuff.
Pretty creepy stuff, yeah.
Even stuff that would scare our daughter.
Yeah. And I remember there was this one statue of a tiki god that had these like sharp teeth, and our daughter actually used to always be scared to go into that room. And I said, well, why are you so scared? It's just a statue. There's nothing wrong with it. And now that I look at it, now that I think about it, I'm like, man, that was like probably like demonic stuff, spiritual stuff around it. But so going back to Erin pointing out the Shiva statue, she told me that it bothered her and she wanted me to get rid of it. And that's where I kind of snapped, and I was like, what in the heck is going on with you? Mm-hmm. You're removing this thing, you're getting rid of that. What is going on with you? So we kind of got into it, and then the next morning I said, if it bothers you that bad, I'll just sell it, and it's not a big deal. So I got rid of it, and I don't want to get into our whole testimony, but basically there was an opportunity to spend Christmas with these kids at a juvenile detention center. Mm-hmm. And I felt like God was like tugging my heart for a while, and like the thought of like serving homeless people at Christmas kept coming up. And this was kind of like an opportunity to do something different, because usually Christmas was just opening gifts and just spending time with family, nothing like that. So we did that, and I remember that there was just a little church service, and out of 30 boys in that facility, only one family member came and spent Christmas Day out of 30 kids. Never experienced anything like that, and I was like, wow, that's just crazy. And I remember it was time to leave, and we were saying bye to all the boys, and my mother-in-law was in front of me, and she would kiss each boy on the cheek, whisper something to them in their ear, and give them a hug. And I was watching her doing this to each boy, and I would see tears well up in these kids' faces. And it just kept tugging my heart. And I remember leaving that facility like, what am I doing with my life?
We're all feeling the same.
Yeah, just because everything pretty much came down to life, where it was like getting the house, building up our real estate, getting nice cars, me, everything. And this was different. This was spending time with others, and that's where God really like tugged on my heart. And
He really convicted us of our sin, really, and our selfishness.
Yep.
Both of us at the same time.
Yep. So we were watching TV one night, and we were gonna foster children. Well, maybe I'm not going to get into that part.
Well, let's fast forward. We decided, we kind of had a conversation about fostering children. We can talk about that a little bit later, but
So let me say this. If you feel like God is pulling at your heart and you're just so self-absorbed in this world, and just the distraction of this world and things and stuff and projects, and you hear a small voice calling out to you, listen to that. That's probably God talking to you to say, stop and talk to me. And there was a point to where...
Well, I think we need to quickly talk about what happened. We prayed that God's will would be done, and the fear of the Lord fell on Pete.
Yep.
And let's talk about what happened for you. Basically, he felt the fear of the Lord fall on him, and felt all of the house, everything in the house, just like me, was creeping you out.
Yep. Except it felt like God was squeezing me, and it was this incredible fear and knowing that God's real, and that He has exposed, completely made my life naked, that He knows everything that's going on in my life, to the point of
here's your sin,
my secret sin, where He was convicting me of looking at pornography. And I used to look at Playboys and Hustlers. I had my own secret stash, and I remember there was just months, and even now God's still working on me, but months of convicting me. If you're going to be an authentic person, you need to get rid of these things. And I didn't know what that meant at the time, authentic. I kept saying, what is authentic? But I just knew it was not honoring God. So I just said, okay, God, you want me to get rid of these. If I'm going to do this, you got to help me, because I've been doing this stuff since I was a little kid. And it was just like a normal thing, being raised up in a Catholic Polish family. I don't know if everybody does it, but for me, that's what I did, and it was just a normal everyday thing.
Well, and we ended up throwing out things. We ended up burning things. We got rid of all of our t-shirts, changed what we listened to, what we watched, everything. Stopped cursing, both of us. It's like God put soap in our mouth.
That was a miracle, because, like I said, being raised in a Polish Catholic family in Chicago, every other word was F this, F that. I mean, that was a miracle in itself.
It was. So let's talk a little bit about what has God done for us. We have about 5 minutes left. What has God done for us since then? And what we're talking about now, we're not saying these things to brag. We're saying these things to show you that if people have seen our conversion, you've witnessed an absolute miracle. And it's no different than the miracles that were happening in the Bible. Salvation alone is a miracle. So some of the things that we've...
Oh, and one thing I want to say is step back. And honestly, what do we have to gain from this story? I mean, it's 7 years later, and we're still sharing this story. It's real. It happened. A real miracle happened in front of all of your eyes.
And for some people that didn't see it.
And for some people that didn't see it and will continue to see, but this has happened and God is still moving in our lives.
So one thing we've started is Operation Free Cross. That's where Pete hand carves these awesome crosses. He's going to put one up here. If you want one, you can go to onefleshforjesus.com and order one. We ship them for free too. We pay for the shipping, so you don't have to ship. We ship all over the country. After we got saved, what did you do for the Juvenile Delinquent Center for 4 years?
So yeah, part of our story, if you guys want to look at onefleshforjesus.com, our full testimony is on there, so you'll hear more of the details of what happened, and it is an intense story. But we were actually, our prayer was about fostering more children. But what ended up happening was I started serving at that juvenile detention center where the Lord was working on my heart. And I ended up serving there for 4 years before we moved to another city.
And then we also both became chaplains to go into nursing homes and pray with people. Pete shares the word. That's why I'm saying he's actually really good in front of people. So you're hard on yourself. He has completely transformed our marriage, and we're going to do several podcasts.
And we both have.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a team effort.
This is a team effort, yep. Cursing, like we talked about, pornography. You've been free of pornography for 7 years. And then what else?
And discernment is a huge one. That God gives people different gifts. He calls it the gifts of the Holy Spirit. And one gift that he's given both of us is discernment, which is being able to discern good from evil and deception.
Yes. And I think coming from the New Age, it's really easy for us. It's definitely in the church, big time. So it's been easy for us to see that because of our background and our testimony. So we're so grateful to God for that, because not everybody has that gift of discernment. And it's such a wonderful gift to have whenever you're listening to a pastor or anything like that.
Yep, absolutely.
So God is a miracle worker. We're a living miracle. We thank him every day. We are going to be talking about a lot of different subjects: mental health, sex before marriage,
addiction. Something I didn't share is before I got saved, 20 years before I got saved, God actually saved my life because I was an addict and alcoholic. So
we're talking about.
So as you can see, I'm a mess, but God can clean up anything.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So was I. I was one of those like goody two shoe people. Like I thought I had it all figured out, and I was, like, oh, I'm so nice and all of these things, and to the outside world, and I was just a filthy sinner, super wicked.
Oh, we all are.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're looking forward to the next podcast. We haven't really picked which topic we're going to do next, but we're excited to talk more and get to know all of you better, and have you get to know us. Hopefully, you see the information that we have as valuable.
I hope you guys like, subscribe, and comment. That would be awesome to help push this out, to help others find the Lord. If they're struggling, they're lost, questioning things like we were. So
to close, we are so excited for you to be a part of Grace Podcast, and we look forward to talking with you